Yo. Check, check. Yeah. Hey. Uh. I still can't believe I made that beat like almost 10 years ago. Insane. What's good, everyone? Shout out everyone tuning in right now. Share the stream. Send it to some producer homies. I got a shameless plug here that I want to show you right here. Let's see. Yeah. What's good? Yes, that was my beat. I got you. I'll send it to you. So this week, holy crap, it's this week in like 3 days. I've got an official remix. I got an official remix for Flex Pavilion and Comrank coming out on Circus Records. I did this remix last year, actually, and it's finally coming out. So I'm super pumped about it. Be sure to go pre-save it. It's in my link in my bio and things like that. And also, I've got a show in Austin, Texas. Oh my God, it's gonna make me do the. Oh God, I can't see that. Maybe I am a robot. C7 5T4. All right, bet. Yeah, I ain't no robot. Yeah, I got a show in Austin, Texas. Toxic Summer with Ray Volpe, Blank, Alley Cat, Sippy, Revlo back-to-back hostage situation, and your boy is the question marks. What's good, Boomer? Thanks for tuning in, bro. So yeah, man, get those tickets. Pre-save that link. The Flex Pavilion, it's coming out. The Flex Pavilion remix, it's coming out this week. And I'm super looking forward to that. Oh my goodness. I rolled over my cord. All right. So we got a few things today. Let me switch over to the browser cam here. First thing that I thought was interesting, we're just going to get right to it. Twitch to launch new DJ category with 24-hour streaming festival headlined by Zed. My first take on when I saw this flyer, can we get some dubstep people in here? Can we get some bass heads in there? Like, yes, we have Jaws and Subfocus, but it's like, come on, dude. Come on, please. All right, let's see here. All right. Twitch is celebrating the launch of its new DJ category by virtue of a worldwide 24-hour streaming event, according to a blog post from the company. This happened last week. Scheduled for Thursday, August the 8th, 808 day. The virtual event will be featuring a headlining DJ set by Zed, the superstar producer is set to broadcast live from Brooklyn, where he'll play brand new music from Telos, his first album in nearly a decade. Zoo, Sophie Tucker, Sam Felt, Aluna, Cheat Codes, and EDM.com class of 2024 star Honey Love will also perform, among others. He says, Twitch has given me an opportunity to celebrate and connect with my fans worldwide during a very important time for me as I'm soon releasing my next album. I'm proud to be a part of the DJ program launch, and I'm looking forward to reaching new audiences. The launch is a big moment for Twitch, with whom DJs have locked horns for years due to the pervasive risk of takedowns, bans, and muted content. The platform has consistently found itself in hot water after issuing a rampant DMCA takedown notice to legions of its users who were unwittingly playing songs in their streams without the rights to do so by virtue of the service's business model. Yeah, I remember when it was like a big deal. What's good, Chris? Hey, what's good, man? Yeah, I remember when this was happening, especially like during COVID and stuff, and everybody just started like playing music and DJing online, and streaming became like an actual big thing, like a more common thing anyways. You could just be, I think we talked about this last week, you could just be walking around the street and a song is playing in the background of some place you're walking by, and then boom, you're getting copyright strike, and you can't even stream anymore. So, this stream is not officially brought to you by Celsius, but it kind of is. So good. Peach vibe. Am I clear? Is it fuzzy, or is that just me? It feels fuzzy, right? Let's do this. Let's do this here. Ooh. Okay. Whatever. Right? Is it fuzzy? Is that just me? Nope, it's clear. Okay. All right. All right, let's keep going. Twitch announced in June the now you sound fine. Oh, I was looking at the camera. It felt fuzzy looking at it, but that's just me. Twitch in June announced the landmark licensing deal with UMG, Warner, Sony, and hundreds of independent music rights holders. This agreement precipitated the launch of the Twitch DJ program, which enables DJs to legally play copyrighted songs in their streams and collect royalties. I mean, about time. Honestly, it's about time that we can actually just like DJ online and not get like mildly sued for it. They can now sign up for the program, which provides a catalog of music for them to legally use in their streams, as well as a list of restricted artists. Damn. I bet deadmau5 is on there. I guarantee you deadmau5 is on there. Today's DJ category launch is a major moment for Twitch, the music industry, and our creators. Twitch CEO Dan Clancy said in a statement, "There's something special in the way DJs on Twitch introduce music to their listeners." Yeah. It's personal and it's community-oriented, so we built a stable, long-term home where they can invest in building their brand as a community. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, my big thought on this is just like, it's about time. This is dope. I'm really excited, but I feel like it's constantly these three big labels here that they cause the TikTok issues. And they don't cause them. It's just like their price is probably so high for their catalog that these companies are just like, we gotta figure something out, but it's like, I understand everyone wants to play their music and whatnot, but very much gatekeeping so that they can make as much revenue as possible off of those royalties and whatnot. So I think this is super cool, but again, it's kind of like a little bit too late as far as like being able to push the DJ community forward. I feel like a lot of the DJ community has already been kind of pushed out into other directions, but we'll see. And this is another thing. This goes a little bit more into the actual agreement, I think. So the announcement is in response to an increasing number of copyright issues and takedowns on the platform in recent years, particularly after Twitch's dramatic increase in DJ streams during the COVID-19 pandemic, a number which has quadrupled since 2020. Oh, well, okay, guess I'm wrong, and propelled the platform to new heights. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Twitch needed help from DJs to be propelled to new heights, but this was specifically during the pandemic. Like, it was all the DJs were streaming, all the producers were streaming. I think you can go and watch, like, Subtronics make some of his full tracks and Peekaboo make some of his full tracks just because, like, everybody was locked in at home. But, yeah, I definitely think that this article and just this topic in general, I don't know. I just feel like this should have happened a lot sooner. That's just my opinion, personally. This is sick. This is sick right here. I was really excited about this. Knife Party teases first new music in 5 years. And I got so excited reading that headline. But you'll see why they edged everyone in this article. Fans can safely look forward to new bass music from the influential duo whose last original music came back in the summer of 2019. It was like all house. After half a decade devoid of new music, Knife Party are sharpening their blades. Compromising Pendulum members Rob Swire and Gareth McGrillen, the iconic electronic music duo, this week teased their first new original music in over 5 years. Knife Party's last record came back in 2019 with the Lost Souls EP. Ready to cut deep into the hearts and minds of fans, it seems Swire and McGrillen are poised to remind all of us why they earned their name. And this is one, when I read this part right here, I was like, there is a completely new wave of generation of people in the EDM scene. There's a completely new fan base in EDM that has no idea what Knife Party did with like Internet Friends and Centipede and like how they dominated. Yeah, Bonfire 2, exactly. That would be amazing. Bonfire, it's another fantastic track. But I feel like there's a gigantic section of the EDM world now that is what's the word I'm looking for? Deprived of what Knife Party can do with electronic music. And again, they're probably, Rob Swire's doing his thing, Pendulum's been doing their thing. They've been real hot lately, but Knife Party specifically, that project revolutionized bass music in a lot of ways. You know, yes, please Adderall bass music for sure. But these guys are at the top of the game for a reason, and they can just drop music every 5 years and get away with it because it's that good. And it's going to be good 5 years from now. Just like their stuff from 10, 12 years ago is still super, super good. Despite the 5-year break, Knife Party remains one of the world's most influential one of the world's most influential electronic music acts. From the cyber paranoia of internet friends to the incendiary Bonfire, the duo's innovative fusion of electro house and dubstep has redefined the genre boundaries for over 2 decades and inspired a new generation of music producers in their wake, me being one of them. It's important to note that Swire and McGrillen have not formally announced the release of new Knife Party's music at the time of this writing, and all this this entire article came off of one tweet, which is like, that's awesome that you've got that kind of pool where you can just make one tweet and, you know, get the entire industry like freaking out. But I still feel like Knife Party hasn't blessed the new generation of EDM fans that have come into the genre in the last 5 years. I've definitely met people and had students in the past where they're like, oh no, I haven't heard of Knife Party. And I'm like, how have you not heard of Knife Party, bro? That's, in my mind, that's like not hearing of Skrillex. Like they were boop, boop, boop doing, or Zomboy or something, you know? They were really pushing the genre at the time. And they make bass music look really good because they do it so well. Man, these dudes are getting old. Look at that. Man's been through it. So yeah, like definitely, like I want to hear, you know, I see Chris and Boomer, like y'all are in the chat and stuff. I feel like y'all were, you know, kind of around for some of that stuff, but definitely like drop your thoughts on that because you know, I'm excited to see how some people who have been in the scene for a long time will have just heard of Knife Party for the first time when they probably crap on everybody in the scene with the whatever music that they're going to put out, you know. It's one of those things where just gets me excited. It gets me the same kind of excited of like when Skrillex puts out new music, but Skrillex has been consistently putting out stuff. Cyranic says about to christening this new generation's ears. Yeah. Is it christen? I don't know, but yeah, no, they're about to get their minds blown 1000%. Okay, this next one, I'm kind of going through it quick because I don't want to be like streaming for like 2 hours. That gets a little intense, but oh, my dog's going crazy. So yeah, so if you hear my dogs, I'm not sure why they're going crazy, but maybe I'm getting some delivered. But this is another article from Music Tech, and there he is. Do you hear that? They're going crazy. Boomer says, I was I was 12. I was 12 the year that Bonfire and Make It Bundem dropped. That's crazy. That was like, those are the tracks that made me want to be a producer. Because I was like, you can do reggae dubstep. Like, yes. Like, that's who I was as a person at the time. But this next article from Music Tech, this topic of the Spotify CEO is a hot topic for sure. I think one of the very first videos I posted, because I clip all of these out into other videos, so please follow me on YouTube, and if you missed the stream, you can catch up that way. But the very first video I posted about the Spotify CEO was very like it very much debated very much in the comments. So I'm just going to read into this, but this kind of adds to like my frustration with Spotify and the fact that it just sucks that it's the only highway to get to new fans quickly, but it says, Daniel Ek earned more from Spotify in the past 12 months than any artist has ever earned on the platform. So it says monthly listeners 0, streams equivalent to 115 billion, stream rank equivalent, world's #1 artist. So essentially he's made more he's made more money than any artist on the platform ever in history, which blows my mind. I haven't read this article, oh yeah, I did read it. I thought there was more to it. Spotify CEO and founder Daniel Ek earned more money from the platform in the past 12 months than any other artist ever has, reports royalties accountant Hunter Giles, and Ek's closest executives aren't far behind him either. Taylor Swift, Drake, Billie Eilish, Ed Sheeran, and literally any other megastar you can think of reportedly haven't been able to top the $345 million Ek has roughly made in the last year. Yeah, oof indeed. In his IC newsletter, Giles breaks down the cash-out values of Spotify executive shares and equates those earnings to the number of streams each exec would need to gain to accrue the sum. Giles adds that he made a comparison using the quote-unquote generous value of $0.003 per stream and assumed 100% control over the IP and the comps, which is never the case. Yeah, like it's very rare that that you're getting 100% of the revenue generated from your song. Very few artists are in that situation. Daniel Ek takes the top spot, cashing out a total of $345 million in shares since July 2023, which is equal to gaining 115 billion streams, hypothetically making him the #1 top streamed artist of all time on the platform. I see what he's doing here, right? Like he's just equating the amount of money that he's made from Spotify, and just kind of like putting that next to how many streams it would take to actually get that, right? So where was I at? As a comparison, Statista reports that Taylor Swift is the most streamed real artist on Spotify with 76 billion all-time streams as of April 2024. And it's not like she gets a check for, oh, you made 76 billion streams, here's that money. Like she's been collecting that over the years, right? Second place to Ek is Martin Lorenston, co-founder of Spotify, who shares are valued at $166.8 million, equal to 55.6 billion streams. That ratio is kind of off, but this would hypothetically make him the 9th most streamed artist of all time. Alex Nordstrom, co-president of Spotify, is third in the ranking with a share value of 26.4 million, equal to 8.8 billion streams, placing him at 185 in the most streamed artists of all time. Yeah, Medici said, oof. Boomer, he said, I would pay good money to see his top songs of the year. That Bozo probably bumping Hot Cross Buns on repeat. Yeah, 1000%, dude. He's a goof. However, Giles said this analysis is not intended to vilify or shame the executives at Spotify. I personally don't think that Ek and the gang are good or bad people, he says, at the pinpoint. And the point of this isn't to shame them. The bad actor here, in my humble opinion, is the same as always: misaligned incentives that fail to appropriately share the wealth amongst stakeholders, aka late capitalism. I like this guy. What's his name? Giles. What did he say? What was his name? Hunter Giles. Yeah, I'm gonna go check him out. Not meant to late capitalism. Okay. These people are just doing a good job of hitting the misaligned marks, and I don't feel it's true or useful to think of them as evil geniuses out to steal money from artists. But when you look at the numbers, it's kind of, you could make an argument, right? Daniel Ek hasn't taken home a regular salary since 2017. Oh, that's crazy. In 7 years, he hasn't taken home a salary. What? According to Spotify filings and Forge. Okay, so on the paper, he hasn't. Probably one of the worst paid major tech CEOs last year. But he did receive $1.4 million in other compensations. And in other news, Ek confirmed that in July that a new deluxe tier of Spotify is set to arrive soon, complete with high-resolution audio quality. I feel like the people who are going to take advantage of the high-quality tier of Spotify is like just people who can, like, yeah, bro, hop in and we got that high-fidelity audio, bro. Like, but yeah, this kind of, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it because I get it, right? Like, you're running the platform and you're doing all the work, I guess, right? But to this, I think late capitalism is a really good kind of term to boil this down to, because it's the CEO making, astronomically more than the employees, or the people providing the content on the platform, Boomer says Audius kind of tried to do crypto streaming, but the only people in Audius are other producers. I feel like normal people won't ever leave Spotify. Yeah, they got a lock on the general consumer, 100%. When I send my friends a track on SoundCloud, they hit me with well, if it was on Spotify, I would listen way more. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the when you put something out on SoundCloud, you're hitting those like true fans, or like people who really dig from music. I think there's a big market on SoundCloud, but it's kind of that, it's very niche to, I think, the EDM genre for sure. But yeah, 90% of the general consumer is on Spotify, and if your stuff isn't on Spotify, you're kind of like not real, or not legit or whatever. And yeah, the Audius crypto streaming thing, they have their own token that they pay you out in that token, essentially. And if the price of that token goes up, you have more money, right? But yeah, I have mixed feelings about this, just because it's one of those things where it's like, I understand it, and I don't know what I would do if I was in his position, not taking a salary for 7 years. And then all of a sudden making profit, overnight, because we struck a deal with all these labels and things like that. But it does seem a little backwards that he's making almost $500 million, right? While I'm getting $0.003 per stream. Boomer says EDM is having a renaissance on SoundCloud right now, because that's where I can't read that word. Sorry, that little thing's blocking it. That's where the heat is. But every other genre is so dead. Yeah, it's like a hip hop EDM heavy platform now, which I'm not mad about personally, because you find good remixes, you find good, edits and flips all over SoundCloud. But if you're trying to reach a mass audience, right, and you're trying to gain new fans that will just put your stuff on their own personal playlist, or it'll come up on their algorithmic, playlist, it is, with EDM, you kind of get a mix of the true fans and the general listeners, right? So yeah, I have mixed feelings about that entire debacle. It seems a little ridiculous that he's getting that much money for running Spotify, but whatever. There's nothing we can do about it, clearly. So this one from Magnetic Magazine. Eliminate shares his top 10 tips on experimentation in production and their impact on his debut album, Get Off the Internet. Full disclosure, I have not read this article. This seems like pretty insane, like an insanely long article, but I do want to just kind of touch on some of the points that he makes here. And boop, yeah, here we go. In 2020, the world took a collective breath. Los Angeles-based artist Eliminate embraced the digital realm, captivating audiences with this playful manipulation of peculiar samples, turning them into viral beats that took everyone by surprise. Now boasting a thriving YouTube channel with over 230,000 subscribers and a TikTok page followed by 390,000 fans, Eliminate has become the leading figure in music production, known for his infectious and comedic personality. His entertaining and informative sound design tutorials have also made him one of the top music production streamers on Twitch. Marking a historic moment for his career, Eliminate just released his highly anticipated debut album, Get Off the Internet. As he made a career on the internet. He pioneers a genre-defying exploration throughout it, using elements of dubstep and to hyperpop. Breaking free from electronic music norms, the album is both a musical spectacle and a rallying call for listeners and artists to push boundaries through experimentation. In this unique feature, Eliminate shares his... Okay, so there was a couple notes that I thought were really interesting. So his first point here, it says, make a discovery. Sound design can be like a science experiment. The whole point of an experiment is to discover something you didn't know before. Maybe. You could probably elaborate on that. When experimenting with sound, do not always have a specific preconceived outcome in mind. Instead, embrace the fact that you are likely to land on a completely different result that might end up even better than what you had originally aimed for. 1000% agree on this. You could, in a lot of my live streams in the past, if you dive into, I do a studio stream every Tuesday night as well. And when I get into sound design, I feel like every time I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I have an idea, but I don't know what's actually going to happen, and just having that embrace and approach at all times where it's like, you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, but also you're not necessarily set on one thing. Let's see. Medici asks, what platform do electronic music artists make the majority of streaming revenue from? Beatport? No, because Beatport isn't. They're selling like hard copies of songs. They're not doing. They have their like DJ streaming thing, but most of their streaming revenue, different platforms pay out different rates. I know that. But it's hard to say for sure. But I would imagine it's Spotify, or if they're getting, synced on commercials, or, those are, technically streaming royalties. But, and you could argue that it's not also. But Beatport, I wouldn't imagine, is one of the platforms that they're, making most of their money on, but you make the most direct money through Beatport, right? If you had as many sales, Boomer says Amazon Music pays the most. I think it's a close tie between Tidal and Amazon. But again, like, who uses Amazon Music and who uses Tidal, right? And it's just one of those things, like, that's why they pay out the most, because they have a lot less traffic than Spotify. So back to the Eliminate article here. This is often something you discover by accident, whether that be the sound itself or the method used to obtain it. Doing this over and over again while changing things along the way will lead to an endless road of creation. Sometimes I will land on a sound and forget how I even got there because I just kept changing it. So saving multiple versions of your project files is a good idea to keep in mind. And if you don't want to make 1 million project files, right, and you just want to keep a good sound, I will isolate my sound design process if I get too deep, right? A lot of the times I'll just duplicate things and mute them as I duplicate them, so that I have like bookmarks of each stage when I made those sounds. But I'll do like a big sound design session, maybe tomorrow night for the stream. He says, get in the zone, not the comfort zone, the auto zone. If you want to branch out and create something new to you, whether that be confined strictly to sound design or just a completely new style of music itself, you are very unlikely to do so by practicing the same technique and using the same tools over and over again. Yeah, like if you're using, you know, there's some that I use all the time, but in different ways at different points in the processing chain. But if you're doing like compressor, EQ, distortion, spectral resonator, like for every single one of your sounds, you're not really going to like branch out from getting that one sound. That's like one process you can click save on, and you need to go try a combination of new things, right? So it says try a new plugin, try several, even if the UI looks daunting and confusing. Learn a little bit about what it does, and then just start playing around with it, or don't. Sometimes I would just go completely blind with zero idea of what the plugin does. This method isn't necessarily conventional, but you can still learn just through trial and error and experimentation. I kind of did this with Rift by Minimal Audio. If anyone's ever used Rift by Minimal Audio, such an awesome plugin. I mean, I figured it out eventually, but it's like a mixture of Serum Effects and Isotope Trash, where you can do like the wave shaping and distortion, but you can also drag LFOs to like different filters and there's like a filter and like a resonance section for it's kind of like a comb filter almost, but you can add tonality through resonance. But that Rift was one of those plugins that I used kind of blindly and just kind of click through the presets to see how it worked. And that's kind of when I put it together where I was like, oh, it's like Serum and Isotope Trash. 2 plugins I had a lot of experience with. But I didn't necessarily just open Rift and was like, right? Like it took a while, but ultimately it was the understanding of 2 other things that helped me understand this one new thing. Let's see. Boomer says, I was literally about to say how fun Rift is. I literally have zero idea what I'm doing in there, but the result is always pretty unique and something I would have never done. Yeah, and it's like one of those. I think there's like a randomize thing on there where you can just, there should be a randomized thing on every sound on every plugin. But yeah, it's a super fun plugin. The UI is really pretty. It's kind of hairy, but it's easy to look at. It's real visually engaging. Highly recommend Rift if you're looking to kind of push some sound design boundaries for sure. Most plugins offer free trial periods, which is what I did with Rift initially, where you can explore its full functionality before deciding if it will provide any actual use or utility to you. Let's see. I didn't read this one. It says, close the book, expand the library. The book in this case being the book of samples you have been using in every song in the past several months or even years. Do a deep dive into sample hunting, check forums and social media, and look up a producer you like to see if they offer any of their own sample packs. More often than not, they do, which in case you can also support them at the same time. I make sure to do this every few months at least. Building your sample library over time will ensure you always have an expansive directory of options to use when writing and experimenting rather than keeping yourself confined. And I want to add on to that. Yeah, he doesn't really elaborate, but I want to add on to that. Go and make it easy for yourself to get to your favorite parts. Like, you're not going to download a sample pack and you're like every single thing in there. Like, take the time and go listen through things, and you can favorite them with different colors in Ableton. You could literally just drag them into a new folder and then make that available in the Ableton browser. Let's see. He says, Medici says, really good advice. Honestly, I kind of have to force myself to dive in to learn things with more complex plugins and stuff. And like, that's good, and it's not a bad thing, but there's that initial like suck stage that you have to like push through. But it has to come from the desire of like, not wanting to do the same thing over and over again and be uncomfortable for a little bit. But if you're consistently doing that, whether it's like exploring new plugins, new sound design styles, or just, combining things you've never combined before. Boomer says, this year I went no video games and no YouTube while I eat meals. I would browse splice while I ate in genres I don't produce, and it helps so much. Yeah, like a lot of the percussion beats and loops and samples, textures that I get from are not from like a dubstep pack, right? It just it sounds like something I would like, and it could be like a Afro beats, loop or one shot or whatever, but it has a texture that I like that I would have never found in a dubstep pack. So he continues, he says, a lot of times ear fatigue is developed simply because you've used the same kick or snare sample in so many songs. You have heard it yourself so many times that it becomes boring to you, which ultimately makes you believe the entirety of what you're creating is boring. Having new samples to use consistently keeps things new and exciting. And I don't, I've got a bunch of, several producer homies in here. And I'm sure all of you have been in a situation where once you just change the drums of a song, it could completely flip them. You could use the same drum patterns, but better samples. Boomer says Lex Luger pack is goated. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm going to use the Lex Luger pack till the day I die. But you can like use the Lex Luger pack layered in with like newer stuff as well. He also said, I spent 2 bands on plugins in my first year and a half producing, and he literally bullied me into only using stock Ableton. Yeah, but I bet you got better at those plugins because of it. If you've even gotten to using all of them yet. I definitely have had several plugins that I bought over the years that I didn't use until way later after I bought them. Like Isotope Trash being one of them. Like I bought it because I saw like, who was it that introduced me to that? Might have been Skrillex, I don't know. But I saw someone say like, oh, we use Isotope Trash. And I'm like, get it. And not even knowing exactly what it was and all the different distortion models you can use. But with the, but that was like my first thing where I had like a case of shiny syndrome and I just bought something and didn't know what it did. I didn't really use it until like 2 or 3 years later. So yeah, knowing how to use the tools you have is super important. Yeah, he said, I thought shiny UIs and more animation would make me better. Yeah, I mean, and to some degree, yes, but ultimately, like, if you know what a knob is doing when you move it, it doesn't matter what it looks like. A good example would be like FM8. Like, you could get really good at Serum when you get good at FM8 or Massive or, like, Silent, something that's not so fun to look at. He says, twist the knob. Just start twisting knobs, although looking up detailed explanations of how a plugin works and what a certain macro and functions do is encouraged and beneficial. It's not totally necessary, in my opinion. I will often just put a plugin on something and start moving knobs to see how it affects a specific sample or sound. I mean, and this is the cool thing is, like, if you like what's going on and you like what you're doing, put it on a rack, save it. So you don't, you can go and tweak those things in a different way to, get that good sound again. If you move something and notice a cool, exciting change, automate it, then start twisting another one. Before you know it, you have 6 automation clips changing different aspects of a sound and have created something that is completely new and different from what you started with. Yeah, and that's like, you'll get better at that the more that you just sit there. Like, I'll play a loop or a sample or something, and I'll move the knob in the way that I want to, like with the mouse pad, and then I'm like, okay, that's cool, draw that in or something like that. And then same thing, like before you know it, you have this stack of automation. And he says, if I'm going for a long session, sometimes I would just hit record and start adding plugins to a sound on a loop. The more I add, the more knobs I turn, the more I automate, the more sound continues to evolve. By the end, I have a 20 or 30 minute audio file to come through and pick out my favorite parts. That's probably the most genius thing I've ever seen in an article. And like, it's something that I do, but that's to do a 20 or 30 minute audio file and just recording and like testing stuff out. That's the same. You're going to get a similar result by like doing something, duplicating it, muting that first one, and then, kind of doing that duplicate process over and over again, where you could just literally record the output of what you're doing. And then you have like a audible history of all the moves you've made, because you might hit this one thing for a split second and may not even be able to get back to it by Command Zing, right? But you've got the recording, the audio recording of you hitting it for that second, and you could just boop resample, right? And that's a good segue into this next one. He says resample, then resample again. I cannot stress how much my sound design capabilities expanded once I started resample to audio. For years, I only worked with MIDI, using synths like Serum and Massive, both to start and finish a sound. Nowadays, I simply use them as jumping off points. Same. For example, I will use Serum to craft a bass sound, whether it's from scratch or preset. It doesn't matter, right? There's no wrong answer here. Boomer says, "Can you explain why resampling is so good?" I know how it sounds, but I don't know how to say it in words. So the thing about resampling is that the capabilities you have to transform audio, you don't necessarily have in a MIDI form. So you being able to capture an audio file of what's happening in the output of a synth and then do the audio effects and audio like stretching, texture warping, like different things and moving, you can't get the warping result from a MIDI output, right? But the capabilities of how you can manipulate audio is just a completely similar but different layer of the abilities that you can do to manipulate a sound, right? So if you and they all have their own certain texture, He said, Cyrenic says, record your sessions with the Korg Minilog bass. Oh yeah, this thing up here. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's kind of when I'm doing analog stuff here. I literally just hit record and I'll draw the MIDI out and I'll start turning knobs, and then I'll find a 4/8 count bar that I'm like, oh, yep, here we go. There's my loop, right? But yeah, so resampling, and that's a form of resampling. I'm just recording the output of the hardware synth. Resampling is recording the output of a software synth, and then you can just do that over and over and over again. But you can't necessarily get the results you would get from stretching audio from just using MIDI. And that's kind of the driest way I could put it. Oh, he says, I mess around with it in the plugin for a while, maybe make a pattern or place a macro where it's controlling something specific. Then once I have something I like, I'll bounce it to audio. I did not touch Edison and FL Studio for nearly 10 years. Now I use it in every session. Once I have the audio, I'll begin placing additional effects and plugins onto that piece of audio. Perhaps if I get somewhere with that, I will resample it again. You can do this endlessly, but obviously the goal is to stop once you have something you like. And the result is often way more complex than anything you could do in MIDI alone. Yeah. The best part is it's in audio, so it ends up being much less CPU intensive. Also another reason resampling is super good. That's funny. Let's see here. So I definitely... I love this article. I'm going to put this, when I clip this video, I'm going to put it in the description. So just, I would recommend going checking this out. It's on Magnetic Magazine, and definitely like listen to what he has to say about this. Kind of a little bit crunched for time today. But the last one I want to read here is make a sample pack for yourself. The thought of making a sample pack usually comes with the idea that you will sell and distribute it to the public in some form or another. However, this doesn't need to be the case. I've made a handful of sample packs for producers to use, but we'll make sample packs in the same manner that only I have access to. For example, I would sit down in the DAW with no intention of working on a song or anything. Instead, I'll just hit record and start creating noise. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Do this for an hour or so and start compiling one-shots, loops, and anything at all, really. Consolidate them into a folder in the same manner as a sample pack and just keep it for yourself. So you're essentially making your own palette of sounds that you made for you to pick from, right? And I wouldn't even limit yourself to just audio effect racks, instrument racks. If you stack 10 synths on top of each other and you don't want to redo that, save it as a instrument rack in Ableton, or make it easy for you to just click and drag that back and use it as you used it. And this is stuff I'll dive in more with tomorrow. So be sure to tune into that stream, because this article has inspired me for what I'm going to do tomorrow. Let's see what he says. Only for you to use. I regularly find myself working on a song and finding sounds I made months prior to use in a project. Sometimes you'll forget that you even made them or what they sound like, which can be extremely refreshing thing to happen if you become stuck on a song. Yeah, and again, it's like if you just isolate your sound design process and just fill your basket with things that you like, that you made, that you know what I mean? Whether it's like a preset that you twisted into oblivion, audio that you manipulated and mangled into oblivion, it doesn't really matter, right? But creating a pack of yourself for yourself, if that makes sense. So I think this whole article was like super informative. I really, really recommend going to read all of it and put these things into practice. Because it's especially if you're a bass music or like sound design heavy producer, you got to keep that refreshed process. And if you're comfortable, you're probably falling behind. That's what, in my experience, that's what's happened to me. It's like I got comfortable with the process, and I can only do that process in so many different ways that make sense for my music. Not that there is infinite ways to do, one thing, I guess, theoretically, but ultimately how it applies into the music you're making, very limited. And this is just my experience. I'm not saying it's how it is. Okay, another one from Magnetic Magazine. John Summit in 7-figure trademark dispute over off-the-grid brand. Oh, no. Renowned DJ John Summit finds himself in a trademark dispute over off-the-grid. On one side is Summit, whose label bears the name. On the other, Mikey, who owns Off the Grid Campout, a growing underground music event that began in 2015. Summit has voiced his concerns on social media, expressing the annoyance over a cease and desist order he received. According to the DJ, he painstakingly built the Off the Grid brand, suggesting the legal action taken against him directly hit his reputation. He said, "Getting sued for trademark over my Off the Grid label by a small promoter, though it's a common phrase, and I built up this brand 100% myself. Effing sucks when people want to screw you over, but it looks like I'm gonna need to rebrand, guys." Damn. When was this? Oh, this was last year. That's right. Okay. This was last year. I didn't know he got sued for this. I refuse to get threatened for. Oh, this is why he went to experts only. Right. I think it's experts only now. John Summit label. Yeah. I mean, experts only, that's way better, right? Off the grid is cool, but experts only, that's like, that's so much more. But I didn't know he got sued out of that. I was wondering what that was about. Also, if you're a house producer, I think experts only is on label radar for you to submit to. I don't know like all of the genres that they take. But yeah, this is an old ass article. My bad. I didn't realize that. But also learned something new. I didn't know he got sued into that situation. And it looks like let's see, what does he say? He says, according to Mikey, His attorney's cease and desist notice finally elicited a response from Summit's management team. They proposed coexisting with the same brand name. An offer Mikey declined due to damage already caused. When Summit's team suggested buying the name, Mikey insisted he would only consider selling if the offer was life-changing money. What a dick. An amount the team was unwilling to spend. That's kind of annoying. But this is this is why you got to think about what you're doing. And again, like, credit to John Summit. Like, he obviously built Off the Grid like to a pretty good degree, but I mean, the experts only moniker is way better. I mean, that's just my opinion personally. Okay, this is kind of a tech thing here. I watched the video on this. Akai releases new dub siren inspired Ring the Alarm plugin. The synth plugin, created in collaboration with Air Music Tech, allows to customize their own alarm sounds for that distinctive dancehall sound. And I think we'll watch this video in a second. Yep. It says, Ring the Alarm was created in collaboration with Air Music Tech, and alongside giving users the ability to create customizable sirens, including the option to play with their echo, reverb, and feedback controls. So you could probably hook this up to like a controller or a push or something and have a lot of fun with it. On top of this, the LFO controls can be easily changed to include siren speed and the LFO's multiple wave shapes. Sick. In a description of Ring the Alarm, Akai says it hopes the plugin can help create the pulsating beats of a Kingston dance hall, where the rhythmic sound of a dub siren blends seamlessly with reggae and ska melodies. The manufacturer hopes the plugin will resurrect the iconic sound. You don't need to resurrect it, dude. Everyone's looking for sirens all the time. As users apply the sirens to their creation alongside, synth rises and mashed up effects. Ring the Alarm is available for $25 or maybe $30 in the MPC store. Runs VST2, VST3. Okay, dude, yeah, check this video out. It's so sick. I was jamming when I saw this. Yeah. All right. You heard it. You saw it here first. I'm going to buy this right after the stream today. And I'm going to have a ton of fun with it. So seems like they have a hardware version or a plugin that runs on their hardware, but they also have a VST. Rude boy. Yeah, exactly. This is really cool. He goes ham with it. Where the Now, you want to talk about how much fun you can have resampling. This would be the plugin to do it on. You could make some gnarly stuff, just like pulling audio and stretching it and, doing all the different effects and stacking plugins on it. Yeah. Marceau says, WHOiSEE siren coming in hot. Yeah, yes. Expect to hear this in my probably music for next year, but yeah, expect to hear this 1000%. Look, you get so much control over it. How many times have we heard these songs or heard these specific effects in songs? So cool. So cool. I'm buying this today. 1000%. I think bass music in general, and obviously dubstep derives from dub, right? And like the slower kind of halftime feel. So those elements, when they're in there, it just feels so natural, right? And I personally have been looking for lasers and sirens and all that kind of stuff, utilizing that with a lot of the sound design techniques, kind of like we were talking about earlier with the Eliminate article. This plugin is it's probably good to me. It's worth a lot more than that. I would pay more than that. I'll just say that. But yeah, no, definitely one of my kind of like good little finds I was doing when I was doing research for this. And this came out in April, right before April 20th, obviously, right? So yeah, that's the Akai Dub Siren. Ring the alarm. I'm getting that 1000%. Let's see. Daddy Kev launches AI tool to help artists identify issues in music contracts. My initial thoughts. I don't know if I want Daddy Kev, a dude named Daddy Kev, helping me with contracts. I need like a Mr. Smith type, right? Or a Wolfenstein type, Daddy Kev, like, help me with my contract. Not something I was like waking up thinking one day, 1000%. He says the app is currently in beta form and is functional in multiple languages, including English, Japanese, Spanish, French, and simplified Chinese. Unveiled by Moo on Twitter last week, the newly launched free-to-use app, it's free, quickly picked up support from artists including Halogenics, Telefon, Tel Aviv, and Nightmares on Wax. That's cool. In Moo's own words, MusicLawyer.ai is an app that uses AI to analyze music contracts and audit royalty statements, and make it available as a free tool for independent artists. That's what I'm talking about. Make it free. That's the kind of stuff AI is going to help us with, This Boomer says, Kato on the Beat trained an AI model to recreate him. He posted about it on his IG a couple of days ago. Yeah, I actually have been talking to Lemonade, the company that built that plugin, and I'm doing like a test and review on it and stuff. It's pretty sick. It's pretty tight, I will say. It's definitely geared more towards the hip-hop pop producer. But, if you're not like super like gripped in music theory, like this is one of those things where yeah, Marceau says free, check the privacy policy ASAP. Yeah, so they're probably getting your data, but it's still free, no money. That's tight. But yeah, so crap, what was it? Oh yeah, the Seeds by Lemonade. I don't know if you can see it down here on my. No, you can't. That's okay. It's pretty cool. I've been messing around with it. It's tight. But they let me do a demo of it, and I'm gonna probably make a video later today or tomorrow about it. It says the app is able to flawlessly analyze contracts uploaded by users and find mistakes or inconsistencies by pulling text from images or scanned documents. In a tweet by Moo on Sunday, he explained, ran a recent DistroKid statement through the AI royalty audit and found 30 plus issues from missing ISRCs to missing country data, blank fields, etc. All legit issues. The emperor is about to be naked. That's sick. I mean, if it's happening in things like DistroKid, it's got to be happening in a ton of other places. But yeah, Daddy Kev, shout out for the free tool. Yeah, kind of tying back into like, I think AI could be a tool for musicians, like in many aspects, right? Especially like the literature side of things with, like business and deals and things like that. Or like, making a MIDI, a MIDI pattern or something like that. But full on generative AI for making music is interesting topic. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I get it for the non-musician type. It's another techie thing. Moog releases groundbreaking Spectravox analog processor. Now, there was I went to college. A little backstory here. I went to college for music education and sound recording technology. And there was a term in this article that I haven't seen since I was in college, but I remembered what it was, but I had to kind of refresh on some of the knowledge. But it's essentially like it's called a VCO. Let me show you. So where did they say it? Where did they say it? Yeah, right here. Doubling up as a standalone synthesizer, it contains a simple analog VCO saw impulse waves. VCO means voltage controlled oscillator, right? And with a voltage controlled oscillator, essentially means that you can change the frequency or the pitch of something by changing the voltage, right? It's also kind of how vocoders are made, because when you talk into a microphone, there's a transducer that moves back and forth, generates an electrical signal that puts out a very small amount of voltage that a interface then converts from a analog to a digital signal for your computer to read and then be re-output in your computer, or out your speakers, excuse me. And when you look at VCOs and what that means, like you can see here, let me see. This is a cool video. What's his name? Jamie Lydell. Never heard of this guy, but this is a cool like performance. And he basically ran all of his audio recordings through this Spectravox thing. And it's sick. It's so cool. Yeah, listen to the sounds, and these are all like exactly how they recorded them. He's like a nerd using tape and stuff. Look at that. Hear the snap. That little, oh, that's so cool. There's one part where watch the snaps. So cool, right? But essentially it's a fancy synthesizer that you can also like plug a microphone into. He's not a nerd, he's a wizard. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know how much it is. Let's see. Spectravox analog processor. Let's see. What are they running for this guy? $600. Worth it. You can watch one of the in-depth deep dive videos of it, and I think that's worth the money. 1000%. If you're getting into analog sound design to any degree, this could be a really good tool. It's made by the same people who did this guy up here. I just gave away the next article. So next thing from WHOiSEE, this is just kind of like a fun little thing. Like I think just because I love Roland stuff in general, I want a pair of these shoes, but Roland reveals TR808 New Balance sneakers in celebration of 808 Day, which was last week, 4 days ago. Roland has collaborated with New Balance and skateboarder Thiago Lemos to create a special edition sneaker for 808 Day. Let's dive into the details. Thiago Lemos, in partnership with New Balance and Roland, is set to launch the TR808 theme design inspired by the late 90s. Oh, it's your boy right there. The NB numeric Thiago Lemos 808 sneakers are crafted from suede mesh and synthetic pigskin. Elaborate. He said I wanted those shoes so bad. Yeah, I want these real bad. I think they're not too bad. Like $120. They're equipped with Rev Light midsole for cushioning and bounce, and come with round white laces for stability and security. Blah 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 blah. Nothing that makes you a better producer, but maybe it does. The TR-808 was released almost 45 years ago in 1980 by Roland. This iconic rhythmic machine was instrumental in development of hip-hop, R&B, rock, and dance music throughout the decade and beyond. It still is, featuring on hit songs such as Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody, Outkast, Kanye West. The industry would not be what it is today without the 808. He said, y'all made fun of me so hard for years for rocking New Balance, and now y'all want to go hop on the dad swag. I see you on the grill. We weren't making fun of you. It's your style, Boomer. That's just like only you can rock it like that. And you weren't wearing these kind of New Balances. You were wearing that dad-ish, okay? You were wearing that. Let's see, New Balance dad shoes. Look, it's a search term on. Look at it. This is what you're wearing. You about to mow the lawn, dog. That's what you're wearing, right? That's what you're doing. This, you can make beats in these shoes, bro. You show up to the club in these, nobody's questioning your skill. 0 people. So yeah, 808 day. I think that's the day they also did the Twitch stream, which is pretty cool. But I was like halfway through 808 day and I was like, oh, cool. Boom. So yeah, Boomer, don't call me out on stream like that. He said I proudly rock the Grandpa Grays. Yeah. Cyranic says midlife Corvette dad crisis. Yeah, indeed. That Boomer was on that midlife crisis shoe. Okay, this is gonna be my last one of the day. I appreciate all y'all tuning in. Yeah, doing this every week. Tell the homies about it. You know, share, please follow on YouTube, which I'm sure all you guys are already, but, really appreciate the support. Don't forget, I've got a remix for Flux Pavilion coming out on the 15th. Be sure to go and pre-save that. Or if you're like real dope, you could go buy it on Beatport, but not the biggest deal. But yeah, pre-save it. Check that out. I'm really excited for this remix. And then I also have a show in Austin, Texas at Toxic Summer. Opening the night. I'm going to be bringing all my shirts and merch and stuff, so be sure to get there a little bit early. Hopefully it sells out. That would be tight. Okay, last one of the day from Gear News. Has Tame Impala started a synthesizer company? First look update. Yes, he has started a synthesizer company. Ever since the Tame Impala associated telepathic instruments Instagram channel dropped, people have wildly speculated about what it is. Most comments on the post lean towards Kevin new album now variety. I myself was leaning towards Bit Crusher pedal, given that many of the posts feature Bit Crushed audio. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Yeah, they kind of, do they feature it here or? But yeah, like the post is like this thing, kind of just like literally imagine Ableton Bit Crusher. It's pretty cool. However, today a new post appeared with what appears to be an actual telepathic instrument. It's hard to see with Kevin's big back in the way. Well, that's mean. But careful screenshot reveals a small keyboard instrument with 1 octave and a number of knobs. Interestingly, there's a jog dial that seems to change arpeggiator modes when twiddled. Don't say that. Don't type that. The sound itself on the heavenly side, less synth than early 1980s Casio Fantasy, or like something from an Omnichord. As for the bit crushing, perhaps an effect access from one of the knobs. Just a bit crusher? That's cool. But look at this thing. It looks crazy. Then I'm not really sure what to make of this. I mean, it looks super clean, right? But is it like an on-the-go thing? Can we get 2 octaves? But it looks like you've got some macro knobs here. You've got 1 or 2, they said jog wheels, but I wonder if you can actually like move them like a joystick almost. yeah, it seems like you've got some other macro type knobs, maybe master volume, envelope control. Cyranic says twiddled and diddled, diddy giggity. Yeah, don't type the word twiddled, please. But yeah, I mean it looks really dope, but I've never really seen anything like this personally. So I'm curious to see. Can we get more than one octave? I feel like as an instrumentalist, I would appreciate it a lot. But yeah, so appreciate everyone tuning in today. It's going to be a good week. Got the Flux Pavilion remix coming out. Got a Flux Pavilion remix coming out on the 15th. Got a show in Austin, Texas on August 24th at Toxic Summer. Check my link for all the tickets and the pre-saves and stuff. Share the YouTube channel with the homie. Boomer said Diddy synth. The Twiddler. But yeah, shout out all the homies tuning in. Really appreciate it. The support means more than you know, and honestly helps the video more than I realized in the beginning. So, I appreciate everyone. Studio stream every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow night. Based on what we read with Eliminate stuff today, I'm going to be doing hella sound design tomorrow night. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Hey, 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 hey.